Lexie Hole goes off, Caitlin Clark gets her first tech, and Sophie Cunningham goes down as the Fever beat the Atlanta Dream for an undefeated preseason. So guys, this was a kind of a weird game, but let's keep in mind that it is preseason, and it did seem like the Indiana Fever were doing a lot of testing out of rotations. They had Sophie Cunningham start, which by the way, I have been saying she could work her way into that starting position, and they tested it out. It's still kind of surprising because they did start her over Duana Bonner, and that was the only thing that did give me pause about potentially starting Sophie Cunningham, because she would be taking over Duana Bonner's position, and Duana Bonner is pretty elite. She's a vet. She is a sniper when she gets going, and she is pesky on defense. But I think this was one of those games where the Indiana Fever were taking the preseason idea of this seriously, and most of the games, a lot of the games this year for preseason have really been taken seriously by a few teams just because of all the eyes on the league, and especially the Indiana Fever with all the eyes on them. But generally, during preseason, these types of games are completely for testing out rotations, seeing how the training camp contracts are doing, who's going to make the cut, etc. But generally, it doesn't really matter who wins. It just kind of is a little more so in the other direction, like the Sky Game Lynx last night. All their starters were in way late in the fourth quarter because those two teams, they just wanted to beat each other. But okay, so this game, there was a lot of ISOing. We saw some remnants of the Kelsey Mitchell hero balling, which we don't want to see again. She's broken herself of that habit for the most part, thank God. I don't know if it's how small the arena is or the camera angles or whatnot, but the game kind of was hard to watch. Every time the base in the arena would vibrate, the screen would vibrate because the camera would shake when the base would go off in the arena. It made the court look a lot smaller, so even if Caitlin Clark did hail a logo bomb, it wouldn't look as great. Caitlin Clark did come away with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, which she was in for 23 minutes. This is potentially flirting with a triple-double here. Her defense was okay in the first half. She came back a little later with a little bit of better defense. Sid Colson, I think they got to rethink her position here because she's having a hard time adjusting to the passing, maybe to the pacing of the Fever. I'm not totally sure. Let's give her a little bit of grace because she's completely adjusting to a new team. But I don't exactly see her coming in on the regular as the backup point guard. I think maybe they'll rotate in Sophie Cunningham in that position. But she did do pretty good defensively. Sid Colson is pretty good defensively. She was picking some pockets, deflecting some stuff. And Aaliyah Boston, she's still kicking off the dust because she missed a bunch of layups, which I'm not going to say I'm worried yet, but she definitely needs to make those layups. Natasha Howard gave us a pretty decent game. I still definitely want to see more from Natasha Howard because she hasn't really made a big impact on the team yet. And this is Flash. This is a former defensive player of the year, but luckily the season is starting. The real games will begin and we'll get to see more then. Now, Sophie Cunningham did go down in the game. It looked like she rolled her ankle when she landed. And, I've had a lot of friends that were skateboarders, and I have seen some inflated ankles that were rolled, and they can take sometimes weeks to heal. Let's hope that it isn't that bad. She did tell Coach White that she would be okay when she was in the ice bath. She had to go back to the locker room to go get checked out. She kind of limped off the court. But let's hope that Sophie Cunningham comes back soon and that it isn't that bad. Jaylen Brown had a pretty decent game too. She was in for 10 minutes and she came away with 5 points. Michaela Timpson is a lock for the roster. Let me tell you, she just looks a lot more comfortable than a lot of the rookies out there. But I gotta say, this was LEXIE Hull's game. She was driving to the basket. She was pulling out a midi from her bag. We know LEXIE Hull spotting up at the wing and sinking those 3-pointers from that hot streak she went on last season. But she's got a pretty good midi in her arsenal. She looked great on defense, as per usual. And granted, she did have most of her minutes towards the end of the game. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Lexie Hull was playing the Atlanta Dream bench, but I mean, she's coming off the bench. So, and we're going to get to some more fun stuff in a bit, like Caitlin Clark's tech, some of the fouls or lack thereof. But I want to go over the Dream really quick because Tehina Paopao looked really good. She is a rookie and she seems pretty ready to be on this team. She was in for 21 minutes and came away with 14 points. And remember, guys, this is a rookie. I mean, when she was guarding Caitlin Clark kind of smoked her, got a bunch of points, but still, that's to be expected. This is Caitlin Clark, and this is a rookie, Tehina Paopao. Brithney Griner was only in for 2 minutes. She did not go out with an injury. I didn't really fully understand it. Like, they said that she just went out for rest, but like, who gets tired after 2 minutes? So I feel there's a little something more to that. I don't know what, because she's not injured, but like she played for 2 minutes. That's just bizarre. Rhyne Howard, she took a lot of shots and not a lot of them were landing. She's known as a sniper. She's really fast, but I don't know. She's been pretty streaky as of late. There are games though where Rhyne Howard just goes off. Alicia Gray, also known as a sharpshooter, she didn't really go off. She didn't have a very good field goal percentage. She attempted 4 threes, didn't make any of them. And Cheyenne Sellers, I really don't like talking about this, but if you don't know the history, she was drafted by the Valkyries. The Valkyries waived her before even playing a game. Natalie Nakase got into some hot water because she said that Cheyenne Sellers basically did everything that they asked, but she just didn't fit into the team, so she was waived. The Atlanta Dream saw this as an opportunity, immediately picked her up. She went in late in the game, and she just did not look good. She looked very uncomfortable. I don't know if, everything that, all the PR that happened around her getting waived from the Valkyries, like got into her head. I could see that happening because she is a rookie. There's a lot of pressure on her to perform, especially after being waived, but she didn't perform well under that pressure. I mean, she had this wide open look here, and it was just kind of awkward. That wasn't the only thing that didn't look good from Cheyenne Sellers. I think the entire game, I don't know again, I think she was in her head because I've seen her play before and she's a good player. Maybe it's the leveling up. I'm not totally sure, but I don't necessarily see her making the team. Now, on to the fun stuff. So I don't know if you guys know, but Caitlin Clark did promise Coach Stephanie White that she would only get 2 techs for the season. And she has already received her first before the season started. No, this does not count towards the season technical fouls, but if she is promising Steph White 2 techs for the season and has already received her second tech in her second game, I wouldn't bet on her only getting 2 techs. But it is Caitlin Clark, and whatever she puts her mind to, she can usually accomplish. But Chloe Peterson reports, Cece just got a technical foul for talking to the ref after a turnover led to an open Bri Jones layup. Looks like she was looking for a foul on the possession that led to the turnover. Before you ask, I don't think they count towards the 7 in a regular season, but I'm not sure. And this is the foul that she was arguing with the ref about.
So right here, this is a lot of chaos and a lot of bodies hit the floor. And you can see Caitlin Clark go down, thought she had the foul.
So a lot of people kind of got upset about this foul. And here's the thing. Caitlin, to me, okay, it looked like she flopped just a little bit. I do see that there was contact, but a lot of people were saying Caitlin Clark gets assaulted. She never goes to the line. And this was absolutely in no way assault. Let's just take a look at it. She runs up, she's driving, and there is Ryan right there trying to block. And Caitlin hooks her arm. And yes, there's contact, but it does not look like assault. This is a basketball play. Fouls happen in basketball. And, after the game, Rhyne Howard did kind of play around with her. I don't know what she was doing here. She was giving her a dry willy, a wet willy with the sweat on her. I don't really even know, but she was playing around. Everybody seemed to be pretty jovial after the game. Brithney Griner is hugging everybody. Sophie Cunningham posts how she missed that dingus. And there was an interesting moment between Aaliyah Boston and Naz Hillman that people were not sure about what happened. It looked like Naz Hillman just went up and started checking AB, like she was acting like a puppy, like not doing anything. And it actually ended up that it was they were just playing around. Aaliyah Boston made a post clarifying to everybody because, you know, everybody goes to bat for Aaliyah Boston. You don't mess with our center. And while it did look kind of aggressive, this was them just kind of playing around. Now, having said that this was not an assault foul of any type, it is kind of interesting that Caitlin Clark hasn't been to the free throw line at all. And she got a little bit of flack for pushing off on Tehina Paopao when she made this 3-point shot earlier in the game. But people did not realize that Tehina Paopao was like kind of like bear hugging her. She fouled her before Caitlin Clark did the push off. A lot of people like to say, oh, this is just a physical league until it comes to Caitlin Clark. But, you know, at the same time, a lot of people call things assault that are not assault. So let's just watch the game for what it is. And not everything is assault, and Caitlin Clark does deserve some fouls. Now, on that same play where Ryan Howard does create contact with Caitlin Clark, DeWanna Bonner also gets fouled. It is not called. That definitely should have been called. And I mean, I don't know. And the Indiana Fever don't have the best whistle. They didn't have a good whistle last season. I thought the whistle would definitely get better because everyone is putting the refs on notice. And I think that they know that they're going to be heavily scrutinized in any Indiana Fever game. But, you know, I would never want to be a ref myself. I don't know how they are. I don't know even know how they see some of the things that they do. I do think that they have to pay extra attention and definitely make sure when there's a foul that it is called, because it doesn't seem like that's going that direction just yet. And right here, it shows how Sophie Cunningham is just getting used to being a part of the de-escalation committee. And I think this was the shot that was the turnover that led Bri Jones to make the bucket. And as you can see, Caitlin Clark is a little frustrated. And this shot is really funny. This is Tehina Paopao guarding Caitlin Clark when she takes a three-pointer and she just goes like, I guess. I think Tehina Paopao did such a good job in the game, but when she was covering Caitlin Clark just kind of smoked her. But in the one shot where she did push off on Tehina Paopao, I think Tehina Paopao got kind of frustrated. She immediately on the inbound went all the way across court and also sank a bucket. She talks about it in the post-game interview here.
I was kind of mad that she scored that 3 on me, so I knew I had to get my lick back, and that's what I did. And so I appreciate my teammates understanding that.
And here are some of the highlights, like this lob pass Caitlin Clark makes to DB for the bucket, and then this really nice three-pointer that she sank. And the Indiana Fever come away with a dub, 81-76. And just for fun, just want to show you a throwback to another time that the Atlanta Dream played the Indiana Fever. I legitimately have no idea what LEXIE Hull was thinking or doing. Ryan got called for the out of bounds and she was frustrated, but everybody laughed. And I know I've mentioned this in a couple other of my videos that it was a hot take that maybe Bri Turner would be the one to get cut, because I am still not seeing much out of Bri Turner. She is not improving kind of like at all. She's not getting acclimated to the team. She is on an $85K contract and she is unprotected. So she is not safe on this roster just yet. And Jaylen Brown, she looked pretty solid in the game. And Makayla Simpson, I mean, come on, there's going to be riots in the streets if she's not on the roster at this point. So she's a lock. So we are definitely going to be signing Makayla Simpson. And now I think it's a battle between having another guard or having another backup big. And I think that it behooves them to keep someone like Turner, but she's not delivering. So I could see in a shocking turn of events that Bri Turner gets cut and they do get to keep both Makayla Simpson and Jaylen Brown. And that wraps preseason for the Indiana Fever, guys. They play the Chicago Sky on the 17th, and I cannot wait. I am totally curious to know if they're going to have Hailey Van Lith guard Caitlin Clark. I kind of doubt it, but you know, it would be fun to see. It's going to be a packed house. We have Angel Reese, we have Camila Cardoso, Hailey Van Lith going up against Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, and the crew. I am going to be going live for that game because it's a big one, but I'm sure there's going to be more news to come in the following days, so I will see you next time.